Squaring Around is proud to be a partner of Elite Sports. That's the place where you can go to get custom branding from Texas State players, getting supported in the NIL endeavors that they're doing. You go to their website, use code SQUARE at checkout. You can help out the show. When you support Elite Sports, you support Texas State athletes themselves. You're putting money directly in the hands of Bobcats. Shop Elite Sports, use code SQUARE at checkout.
Tired of winning the tailgate but losing the games? We can't help that. But we can tell you what the hell is up with each team and what's going on across sunny San Marcos. Texas State fans, get on your feet. You're listening to Squaring Around with Jakob Rodriguez and Andrew Zimmel.
Zimmel, thank you so much for sending me on a week-long getaway with my thoughts on this island.
I know, dude. You've been doing too much work, so I said, let's go bring in an easy interview. We brought in former Texas State quarterback Brady McBride, and, I thought it was a great podcast. I thought we had a really good time with Brady, and if you chirped Brady at any point, please tweet at us, at Squaring Pod, with your best Brady chirps when he was the quarterback at Texas State.
This podcast was already very staunchly like defend Brady McBride at all costs. You know, he was not the problem. And now it's even more so. We're doubling down.
I think if you are a fan of the Bobcats and you have had any issue with maturity or anything else like that, I think Brady comes off very mature in this podcast. And I think that you will find that he is a very fun individual.
It's interesting because you and I both started as student journalists now, and we interviewed a couple of these guys when we were in school. Now we've gotten a chance to interview, Brian London, Taylor Deere, Brady McBride now out of school. It's a different, they get to see us in our professional setting. We get to see them in kind of their next phase, after college football, after college, whatever, after, so it's just kind of like a come full circle moment. And at the end of the day, we're all Bobcats. So it's kind of nice to always do episodes like this where we're like, hey, what's next? And what are you looking forward to? And what are you up to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think the funny thing is that they keep getting older and we stay the same age.
They keep getting older. We stay the same age. Roll the pod.
Jacob gets the week off. Welcome to Swear Talks. Andrew Zimmel at Texas State Sports Prez. It's our producer, Jakob Rodriguez. And I've been really excited to get this guy on the podcast. I've been itching for it. It's former Texas State quarterback and future Pro-Am golfer, Brady McBride. Brady, what is up, my brother? How is it going? It's been too long.
I know. It's been a while since our first class together. I think that might have been my first class at Texas State. Definitely my first semester. And I was probably trying to get some answers from you on the homework or something. And that's how we probably stayed in touch. But yeah, I'm back here, moved back in with my parents, trying to figure out what I'm trying to do with my next step. And so took to golfing today.
You're telling me pop culture studies didn't help you in the real world, Brady?
No one's really asked for my degree yet, so keep that one hidden then.
What'd you end up graduating with, Brady?
General studies.
Oh, okay.
Which is like...
That was at App State, or? No,
I graduated at Texas State. I had to graduate to go to App State and be eligible. And so I had like one summer class. I think I failed a class. I was taking 18 hours and I failed one of them, and then I had to take it in the summer. So I was just in Boone, North Carolina, taking an online class, and I wasn't even playing yet. So that was probably this time last year.
Well, tell us what the difference between Boone and San Marcos is, because we fight with those barefoot hillbillies all the time about who has a better campus. And I've always said San Marcos, but they're out there saying it's Boone. You've done both now. What do you think?
Both definitely have their advantages. Depends kind of like what you're looking for. Obviously, I'm a Texas boy, so and I graduated from Texas State, so I'll probably lean more San Marcos for sure. But San Marcos, you know what you're going to get. You got the river, you got the square, you got major town, like a big college town, and then Boone's more like laid back. A lot of nature. You're in the mountains, so a lot of good fishing. I would say it's more like granola-y compared to Texas State. culture's completely different, I would say. But yeah, both
Really?
have their advantages.
So when you talk about culture, do you mean on the field or off the field, just like the vibes around campus? What's the
Oh
culture
yeah,
difference?
I'm just talking about more of the campus, not nothing football related, just more campus related,
Got you.
kind of the people in both areas.
Well, see, you guys are talking about culture. I mean, that's using that pop culture class, I think, kind of.
Look, that class was incredible. I remember the first day Brady sat in front of me and I bumped the person next to me. I was like, that's the fucking quarterback. Like, what are we doing here? Like, what are, I was like, what are we doing?
You're like some fanboy. That's so
No,
funny.
I felt like I say this to all the Texas State athletes. Jacob, you can back me up on this.
Mhm.
Texas State does not have a culture of like celebrity worship when it comes to the
No.
athletes at all. Like other campuses, I remember like hearing stories about Sam Ellinger at UT, and it was like, holy shit, that's Sam Ellinger. But I think that Brady, and correct me if I'm wrong here, you can walk around campus, nobody gives a shit. Nobody
Nobody.
cares.
Nobody knows who you
No,
are.
and
Yeah.
maybe the opposite of celebrity. If they do recognize you, it's probably not a good thing. So
I mean, do you have any good stories about running into people, like people just shoulder checking you, being like, good job, quarterback,
no,
getting bullied in Alkek?
I wouldn't say that. Usually, probably, yeah, I would say I didn't really have any instances like that, or none that I can remember. Maybe something sly or behind my back, but nothing really up front out, especially on campus. No one on campus is going to the games anyway. So
Ooh. All right, well, tell me about that. What is that like as a quarterback, as a player, and you look up in the stands and it's week 4 and you're like, where the hell is everybody?
it's definitely kind of weird. You grow to expect it. I think it's different. Like a lot of these kids are coming from these big high schools, and it's a big production in high school in Texas. So you got basically everything you can dream of with the pregame music, the video production. You got media on the sideline, and the stands are full. So I think that probably made it the hardest. It all kind of depends on like where you come from, like high school wise, and so that's probably the hardest thing to adjust to. And going off like your week 4 example, I don't really know. It was just random. Like it wasn't like any rhyme or reason. Like sometimes there would be people there, and sometimes there'd be nobody there. But yeah, you kind of just try to learn to block that out and try and just focus on what you do. But definitely, the more fans there, the more excited you get, and kind of get pumped up more. So
Well, I think we made the joke, Jacob, during pandemic that everybody else was trying to adjust to not having fans in the stadium. I was like, Texas State, we've been practicing for this, baby.
That's our
We know what it's
advantage.
like.
We
we
actually
were
that
well
season I
prepared.
remember watching on TV. I was like, we're doing not bad. Like we got a lot of games televised. We were trending upward, I think, as a program.
Yeah.
And that was like me and Zimmel's first year post grad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was like what 2021. So it was the last year that you were there, Brady, right?
Uh,
Or
I believe
2020.
2020 is the COVID year. So,
Yep.
but yeah, 2021 was the last year I was there.
There you go. Yeah.
So what was that like, that pandemic season for you guys? Because that was, I think, like pretty much that was the fulcrum point of like the Spavital era. That like if
Yeah.
that season went well, I think a lot of stuff changes. And it looked, I mean, UTSA game was really close. SMU
Mhm.
game went down to the wire. Like there was a bunch. And I gotta shout you out, my guy. I've been saying since day one that Brady was my dude, and you showed up in those games.
Couple of them, not the UTSA one, because I actually had COVID or something that game. Didn't have COVID. I don't know why, but I popped up as positive on it. So yeah, I would say the 2020 year was quite, I would say weird, just because like that was my first year, kind of like knowing I was going to be the starter, and so I kind of was trying to assume that position, and it was just different. I mean, everything was so different, from changing in the tunnel and not being able to use locker rooms and wiping down everything after every set on a lift. So that was weird, but I would say probably those are the biggest things I can remember from that 2020 season, was just how weird it was and how I was trying to find my role within such a weird time to play.
Got you. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I understand that's weird. The weight room was already tiny, so I can't imagine like you got a lot of lifts in when you got to wiping everything down.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely trying to get it in. Uh, the weight room, yeah, I think they're getting a bigger one, aren't they?
That's the plan,
Yeah.
not from the Andrew Zimmel endowment, but, other more successful alumni are throwing their money in that direction.
Yeah. I won't. I wish I could help there, but
See, journalism and general studies, it just doesn't pay. We are part
no.
of the, I don't know, Jacob, do you want to set it up here that I got in trouble for what I call Texas State alums?
He called everybody that graduated from Tech. Well, he said that Texas State's biggest export was teachers and losers. And so that like immediately rubbed people the wrong way. He had to make a big apology. The next episode that we did got like 400 views. So, I think his apology was well received. So shout out Zimmel. But yeah.
Shout out Zimmel. But we need more guys that are giving money back. So, yeah, I know.
Well,
we
athletics director too, Don Coryell, said that he wants former athletes of Texas State to come up, step up too. So give their scholarship back in a ways.
If you're in the league, yeah, but if you're a normal guy just trying to make it,
yeah, the Paul Goldschmidts of the world, I think, should definitely step up.
Yeah, and there's not as many, so there's not many helping hands. So usually one dude's got to carry the load on that.
Brady gets it, man. I've been telling people he gets it. So. Jacob famously was Vit Marcus. I was the Brady McBride camp. What was that like having it was like a platoon, almost quarterback situation that we had for a couple years. What was that like?
I mean, that's all I really knew at that point, in the college level, but I wouldn't take that back for nothing. Like Vit's still one of my best friends, one of my best friends during the time. And we just knew how to keep it, I guess, professional in a way. I mean, sounds kind of dumb, but we knew when to mess around, or we knew when to lock it in, but we never took anything personal because both of us wanted to play. Obviously, like you don't really get to that level if you don't want to play. And so yeah, I would say we just had a great balance of knowing that, and really just sticking by each other when things were going bad, because we were the only ones that knew how the stuff went. Like all the blame gets on you, and you get to Twitter, and then people chirping your families. And so we really understood that we were the only ones in that position. So we kind of bonded over that.
Well, tell us about that, because I think the Tech State fan base, it's not a large fan base by any means, but it's a very tight-knit one.
And resourceful.
Brady, what was it like getting chirped on Twitter?
Sometimes we're better than others. I mean, you just kind of grow numb to it. You try and make it, try not to make it where you just get hardened by it. But I mean, that's what comes with the position. And I was hoping it'd go the other way, and I would actually get like some love on it, which there was maybe a couple slivers here and there, but for the most part, it was just like whatever. You just grew numb to it, and you're just like whatever. So
Jacob, he's talking about you, buddy.
I did not chirp at Brady online. As a matter of fact, I think there's a few tweets I have. I'll look it up later and put them somewhere along here. I never took my light off of it. I always wanted him to because he was the true freshman that got the start. So I was like, what a storybook moment for this place who had never really, I guess, like either recruited or really even felt like invested, I guess, in like that position as a whole out of high school. What was it? MacArthur? San Antonio MacArthur?
Yeah, San Antonio MacArthur.
Yeah, come out and just like ball up. I mean, he took a bunch of shots like his freshman
year.
Yeah,
that dude is
tough. They're blowing this kid up all over the place. And that's, I think, what the hardest thing for him is just how tough he had to be. And then, like, I mean, really all of you guys, you had Jalen Gibson for a while too in that same room.
Yep.
Like all of you guys are getting blown up like week to week. They're just like the resiliency in that. I was like, oh my gosh, I feel bad for all of these guys too.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about it. I mean, like we want to hear stories from behind the center.
About getting blown up, I wouldn't.
Or not.
Okay, I have one actually. Probably my first game. I had no clue. I had no clue how the college game went and how fast it was and how big these dudes were. We were playing SMU, and it was probably second quarter. I was very, very antsy that game, just not comfortable, just running around trying to make plays because that's what I would resort to when I felt uncomfortable. And I think this was the first touchdown drive. I make like a little subtle move, probably get like a 3-yard gain, nothing crazy. But I got absolutely smacked by this linebacker from Auburn. He had the same last name as me, so something McBride. And I wasn't wearing mouthpiece. I was like having like like the littlest pads you could have, and I just blacked out completely and I stumbled. I just had no clue what was going on. And I was like scared at the moment. I was like, do I do I continue playing, or do I will I never get this opportunity again? And so that whole rest of the drive, I don't remember anything. Don't remember anything. And I believe Brock ended up scoring that drive. And even going into halftime, I was like, do I tell him like I'm feeling pretty weird? And I ended up not telling him. And then the rest of the time, I was fully padded, had the Kevlar on my ribs, custom mouthpiece, and I learned pretty quick. It's a little different on that level.
What was the relationship with Spavital like? Because he's always been really good to Jacob and I have nothing but nice things to say about him as a person.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people now look at it, especially the way that the last couple months have gone with recruiting of the high schoolers and GJ's relationship and stuff like that. Like when you come in as a transfer, what was that relationship with Spavital like?
Yeah, it was always a good relationship, I would say. Obviously, he had a different method in the way he was getting his players, and it could have worked out. It couldn't have, and it ended up not working out the best. But you really can't knock it until you try it. And so he tried that way out. I was blessed enough where he believed in me and brought me in. So I was always grateful for that. And yeah, I would say we would have a pretty good relationship from the whole way through. So
Can you explain to fans like why that makes sense? Like why you go after JUCO guys and transfers and go into the transfer portal versus like trying to get high schoolers to come to Texas State? Like because you probably
yeah,
want a little bit of both. They
uh-huh.
lean very heavily on one versus the other, but there is like a way that works.
Yeah, I would say especially now there's like a perfect combination or whatever you want to call it of having guys you can develop and then having guys that can make an immediate impact and kind of more mature and knows what it takes to be good at a certain level. And I think that's what he was looking for immediate impact guys and guys that can make a difference right away. And then I would say these high school guys, it just takes a little bit more for most, at least for me. All I can speak is my experience. It took me a little bit more time just to get adjusted to everything that's so different about high school to college, and you're literally spending all your energy and effort into playing a game. Whether in high school you just were naturally good for the most part, and you're lucky enough so you didn't really have to do the little things like watch as much film or treat your body right because you were just dominating at that level. So I would really say his method was more of trying to get immediate impact guys, and I mean, there's pluses and negatives to everything. So
Well, and when Jake
What
came
went
in
wrong?
too, he was coming off of that Will Greer year too. I don't
hmm
know. I don't think that was the year that Will Greer he wasn't a Heisman finalist, but he was like a
yeah,
Heisman favorite at one point in that crazy West Virginia year. And so
yeah,
that's
he
like
had the
I remember when you signed, I was like, oh my God, this is like our version of Will Greer coming to Texas State. And if you look at like your team photos, you're like, well, this is obviously the sickest guy on the team. Look at him. He's a stud.
yeah. I think he had that was the year they had the Oklahoma game. That was a really good game, and then they ended up beating Texas on that. I think it was overtime or I don't know. It was both pretty cool games I remember watching. So
Was that when you like were on or he was on your radar as like a coach? Like, because how does that work as a player? Do you look at other college coaches and be like, okay, I like what that guy's doing?
yeah, I mean, you kind of just check them out and see what they've done and who they've coached. And I mean, when you do your research on Spav, like there's not many that have like the kind of quarterbacks that he's coached with Kyler Murray, Johnny Manziel, two of my absolute idols growing up. And so, I mean, I wanted to be his next guy, and unfortunately, it didn't work out as well as we thought it would. But I appreciate him letting me try.
We don't point fingers over here, but if we were to point a finger, what would we point it at for that not being getting where you wanted to go with it?
Kind of being removed from the situation now. I'd really just point it on me. I mean, that's all you can really do. You can't point it on other people. You're just living your whole life with anger, and so you just got to take like a look at yourself. And there's things I should have done and could have done better. Whether it was watching more film or just preparing better, and then not letting things get to me and get in my head. And so Yeah, I would. When you point the finger, I'd definitely point it at me.
It's very mature of you to do.
I mean, that's all you really can do.
Well, there's a lot of other things you can do. Because I've thought about them before. Uh, you totally 100% can blame other people. You didn't, you could have, but you didn't, and we're proud of you for not.
Well, 1,000%,
Uh,
Brady. Week to week, Zimmel gets on here and goes, it was everybody's fault except Brady. So
no, I
I think that's
definitely had
what
a huge
Zimmel's
role
getting
in
at.
I like, look,
that.
I'm not saying that you're throwing away my entire propaganda machine here, Brady, but
We,
I've done a
I,
pretty good job of trying to encase you in like, look, it wasn't this guy's fault. So when you went to App State, you had
mhm.
a chance to compete for the starting job. What was that like?
I mean, the first year, no, I didn't. They had Chase coming back,
Yeah.
and they were communicated that very, very well with me, so I knew what I was getting into. Um, but yeah, learning from Chase and watching him kind of taking a step back after all like the stress and the stuff you deal with of being the starting quarterback and getting a year to just kind of breathe, exhale, and watch the games go. So that was pretty cool to do. It was pretty weird watching us lose to Texas State and at San Marcos. That was probably one of the most sad times I've had playing football. I was like, that felt so weird.
You didn't feel
And
good at all about Texas State getting the win? No?
no, I was really happy for the guys. I mean, obviously, I was invested in App State at that point, but it was just the dynamic was weird because a lot of the guys at App State didn't care, had like no clue that I even really was a player. They just saw me as a backup quarterback for their new team. Not not even like that. Just like in my head, that's what I was thinking. And so I had a bunch of fans just chirping me from
No.
the
Oh.
student section that Brady, if you would have done this, we would have been better if you would have done this. One of the funniest ones I remember was this guy. He was like, "There it is, Brady. There it is. That same stupid look you do when y'all are losing." And I remember giving a little chuckle to that. And then I had some teammates come up to me like, "Bro, are you all right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I was all right." But then when I say I got sad, I just saw like all my buddies. They had came down from that game, like Vit and Seth Caillouette, and we all met up after, and we had just took a pretty bad loss, and I was on the bus and just leaving Texas State, where part of my heart is, and all my best friends and my family. And so it was just a weird night. I would say that.
Mixed emotions. I get it. I get
Yeah.
it.
What was that high five line
Obviously.
back with the teams, Like, what was that
Oh, it
like?
was awesome. That was probably my favorite part of the game was watching everyone, um, just seeing everybody, and I got to take some pictures with some people. I think I remember y'all probably get a kick out of this. We were down pretty bad, and Chase comes up to me, Chase Price. He's like, "Hey, do you want to go in?" I was like, "God, no!" I was like, "Do not put me in this game right now." And so, yeah, I guess he ended up playing the rest, and I was like, "Thanks, bro."
What a Friday Night Lights storyline.
Yeah,
I'll tell you
probably
what
that
would have
mentality.
I tell you what would have really killed some fans is if you came back and won that game. Could you
Yeah.
imagine? Could you imagine the conversation we'd be having right now if that
Yeah.
happened?
I don't think there was enough time to even have that. I think it was like the last two drives, and
Ah,
he
that's a
was just
shame.
trying to do me a favor and be like, "You want to play back in your home field?" And I was like, "No, I'm honestly good. Like, you got it, Chase."
That's when like the sun god would like tap into you. You'd get like the San Marcos Avenger effect with Big Nietzsche and like the river and the Bobcat itself
Yeah,
would come alive and you just lead your team to glory. Oh, I would be devastated in the press
that'd
box.
have been a cool story. That'd have been a cool story.
Well, for
I
all
love it.
my
So
like pontification, basically too, like of Vit Marcos, I was the mayor of Vit Marcos my senior year, especially. I was like, this is the year he's gotten some time to learn with Brady alongside him. They're best friends. They're on the wakeboard team. What could go wrong? And like when you transferred, I remember being so devastated. Like, so what was, I guess, like, your experience just in Boone in general? Like, was it okay for you, or like ultimately was it like what you were looking for?
Yeah, I mean, it's always tough being like going from a like starter or potential starter to kind of just like taking a back seat. Um, And so I would say there's a lot of like weird things that you really don't even think of, like, but how much it changes. Like, I would say like this is pretty like I don't even know, pretty dramatic. I would say, but I remember getting on our first plane, like to App, and I was like a middle seat, like middle row, and I was like, oh my goodness, stuck between like two tackles or something. And then at App, it was me and Vit had our own row, and it was like second row, and I was like, man, I miss being a starter. So it was just little stuff like that, and like around the building, how people treated you and like talk to you, just little stuff like that changes.
I imagine. Do they treat the student athletes better in App than they do at Texas State from a fan base
Yeah,
point of view?
their fan base is definitely more um, like recognized players in public and stuff, and even then, like I didn't get much of either, so it was cool.
I feel like they're just all like tapped in because everybody I know from Appalachian
Yeah,
State is just like
they have
dialed
they have
into like whatever they can like name like random tackles from Texas State. I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. He's on the team I cover. So
oh yeah, they're on it for sure.
We got nothing better to do. We got like the river. We got girls to talk to. We got chimneys to go to, and
well,
they're
now
just locked in.
all I think about at App State is Luke Combs. Now that's just like
Yeah,
like so. Did
it
you ever
is
run into
weird.
Luke Combs over there?
No, I didn't. He came the year before,
Ah,
the first game of the year, and then he ended up having a concert later that night that everyone talks about. That they say it was pretty fun, but I was, yeah, not lucky enough to see Luke Combs.
yeah. Well, I guess
I
he's been
wish,
on tour for a while too. So
yeah,
doesn't help.
I saw him from a distance at the game day, I believe,
That's kind of
because
sick.
maybe I didn't. I don't know. I'm gonna
He
say
was
I
just
did
another
just to
black
make
guy
it
with a
cool.
beard.
They all do kind of look like Luke Combs.
I would say the crazy thing is Texas State has George Strait, and then uh, App State has Luke Combs. Memphis probably has someone. It's probably more of a rapper.
So we go back and forth with this all the time. Bigger like deal, George Strait or LBJ?
Uh,
See,
I mean, if we're gonna go back to like pop culture and
Mm.
what our class really was talking about, I would say it was probably George Strait. And if you
Brady
ask any
gets it.
old
Brady
parent
gets it.
50 and up,
This is
My
that
my
liberal indoctrination everybody's talking about.
my take is this: is that I think that George Strait could solve the war in Vietnam just as well as LBJ. I know LBJ is not selling out a Vegas tour. Like I
no.
know he's not doing a Vegas residency.
That's
So
true.
I'm taking George Strait. Jacob is taking LBJ.
I did not take LBJ. You just pitted me on that side because I was the other person in this conversation. I
I'll
don't
take
know. I
George
think the king
Strait.
of country music can solve a lot of things just with a guitar.
No,
He
no.
didn't write most of the songs either. So as long as he's got policy writers too, I think he could do it.
He
You
is
all know who Diamond Jim is? Jim Duncan, kind of a Texas State legend. I think he played quarterback there in the 70s, but
Oh,
he's always
you had a tweet about him at like about the spring game. Everybody was lined up with the AD and stuff like that, right?
uh-huh. Yeah, that dude's awesome. We would always just talk shop, whether it was on the sideline or during practice. But he's got some pretty cool stories about George Strait. Apparently, they went to college together, and he was telling me the legend of him helping him make his album cover of some album. But that just reminded me of Diamond Jim.
So, did you get a chance to talk to some of the Texas State alums? Like when you were like quarterback, clearly you probably talked to Diamond Jim, but like anybody else you made relationships with?
I would say Diamond Jim probably. I still text him every now and then. We text back and forth. And then there was David Williams. He played quarterback. I don't know necessarily what. I think it was the 90s. Um, but yeah, I would say those are the two ones that come off the top of my head. I don't really know anyone else.
How locked in are you on this year's team? Are you now like a fan of Texas State? Are you going to get ESPN Plus and watch and stuff?
Yeah, hopefully I can make it out to a couple games. I know me and my friends and the alumni football players are trying to pick a date. I think it's the 28th. Who plays that? I
Ooh,
think it's Troy. And we're
You're
gonna
going
try
to the
and come
Troy
out.
game?
Yeah, we have
Jesus,
high
Brady.
expectations.
You have high
But yeah,
expectations for this team, man. I we are what did we say, Jacob? We're famously a 6-6 podcast. that
It's
we will.
October 28th, Troy, and September 23rd. I don't know why I said that date. Whatever. Yeah, Troy is 28th. I'm just rattling off dates.
So I think a lot of us guys are going out to San Marcos that weekend. We still all got
That's also
one friend.
homecoming, Brady.
Yeah, that is homecoming. We got one friend left on the team, and that's the punter, Seamus,
Jameis!
my best friend. So yeah, he's the last guy we have from the original crew. So we're supporting him this year.
Could be Sunbelt Punter of the Year. What do you think?
I mean, I'd give it to him right now.
Right now, preseason ballot. All right, cool. Well,
I love it, dude.
I think one of the main reasons Emma wanted to have you on this week is because next week's media day. That's like, I feel like you're kind of like a Hall of Fame, like ballot media, like non-media member participant, like,
Oh man, are you talking about that tweet I sent out probably last week?
Maybe, yeah. Did you talk about media day? Oh, you wanted to go because they said
I wanted to go so bad, man.
Ah, man.
That was one of like my bucket list things was like become a starting quarterback at a D1. And then once I realized what media day was, like, oh, I want to go to that for sure. Like, you get all the nice dinners, you get flown out, you get to miss a couple days of summer workouts. They get you a new suit and all that. So not even to talk because one, I don't like doing media. I feel like I was always way too nervous thinking about what everyone was going to think. But this is my first, I would say, interview where I'm just kind of ripping it off and not worrying about if a coach is listening or someone's going to take something the wrong way. So it's been a lot more fun that way. I wish I'd have done it earlier.
Well, we're glad you could do it now. I famously was at media day when it was Aaron Brewer and Brian London, and everybody was coming up to me and telling me that Aaron Brewer was going to be in the NFL. I was like, no, I think Brian's going to be in the NFL. And then we saw where that went. Brian, love the guy, but Aaron Brewer, dude, still hanging around the league.
Now that you're talking
I
about
was listening to the Bustin' with the Boys podcast this morning, and they were showing Aaron Brewer some love, and that was crazy to hear. And then another Texas State guy was a guy named Stretch. I didn't know him, but they're mentioning 2 Bobcats in that, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Texas State does not get the love that it like. Well, let me rephrase that. Texas State does not get mentioned on podcasts. They probably should not get the love.
I feel like that's a lie because how many podcasts are there that just cover Texas State? There's like 3 that consistently cover it at this point.
Well, we're not the national brand yet, Jacob.
Oh yeah, the national scale, yeah.
Yeah.
We had that one Scott Van Pelt moment, and he was like, "What's the hashtag? Eat 'em up."
I was listening hard to that Bustin' with the Boys, just trying to listen for a little shout out Texas State, shout out Bobcats, but I didn't hear nothing, sadly.
It's like 10 slipped-on quarterbacks of all time. Number 1, Brady McBride, Texas State. Like, whoa, what?
I wasn't expecting none of that. I was just hoping.
Dude, you were sleepy good. Sleepy good. I was like, I was very impressed really every time you would come in because you had to be the savior sometimes, and you would get put in moments where it's like, or if you didn't get the start, you were coming in back against the wall, like you were saying, kind of at App State, like a moment where you do not want to go into the game. Very inopportune moments.
Yeah, I would say, I don't even know. I would at least want to be known as entertaining, whether it was good or bad. My favorite quarterbacks growing up were entertaining and they did it their own way. And so that's kind of what I wanted to do. Whether that worked or not is not up for me to decide, but I had fun doing it. So.
Did Tyler ever tell you about his first plays as a Bobcat?
No. What was it?
So flashback to 2017, and Texas State goes to Rutgers.
Okay.
And this is back before we had the redshirt rule where, like, essentially they can redshirt you essentially whenever they want at this point. But it used to be you only got 4 games, 4 appearances, and your redshirt was burned. And we were losing to Rutgers very badly. It was a bad one-sided game. And for whatever reason, the powers that be were like, you know who we should throw out there? Our freshman quarterback, Tyler Vitt. Let's see what we got. And he got fucking annihilated. Like,
no.
The Scarlet Knights, like, Rutgers and the Big Ten level, not a very good program. Rutgers at the Group of 5 level would be like Alabama. Like, they are.
No way.
I don't know about Alabama.
That's a hot take,
Andrew. Our ass, and it was tough. And I will never forget. I was watching the game. I think it might have been on ESPN like 3, but Tyler gets the ball and he did not hold that ball for more than a second before there was like a defensive lineman in his lap. And I was like, ooh, this poor guy. And I was so upset because it was like, why are we waiting? It was like the fourth quarter. Why are we wasting his red shirt? Why are we just burning this guy's red shirt? It was awful. I was very upset.
Was that his fourth game?
That
Or
was
was it
his
his
first
first?
game. That was his first game, but you knew, like, why are we doing this? Like,
Yeah,
we're not
it
going
was
to
a
win.
waste.
So why are we doing this now?
I'm sure he was stoked to go in, though.
Then there was the famous draw play against UTSA. Jacob, do you remember that
I've
one?
heard about that one.
That's why I got thrown out of the press conference in that same or the press box in that whole game. My first game there, Brady goes in, comes out. He's right there. He almost got out in time. He took a sack. And yeah, that basically was a nail in the coffin in that game. I mean, it wasn't like the reason we lost, but it didn't help for sure.
Yeah.
I just felt so bad for him too, because the San Antonio kid, you want to win. That was at the Alamo Dome, I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
Yeah. He did pretty well that game. I know
he
that.
did. Yeah, he played well. He threw a touchdown like his first possession, I want to say, in that first series. I was like, look at us, we're cooking.
But that gets lost to history because we ran a quarterback draw on the 2-yard line. Who does that? Who does that?
That's a tough one.
13-year-olds playing Madden know better than
I
to run
have
a
some
quarterback
inside
draw.
baseball, Andy, because we've been talking about a couple weeks. This is summer content, Brady, so we're kind of delving into our basket of goodies that we have. I covered that whole first year, second year with or at the end of Withers' year. I think it was like year 2 Withers, and then Jake's first year as a head coach. Covered those 2 years, and I have that whole press conference where Ever Withers is talking about Vitt and that whole game, and he said that Vitt did everything right except go down, and I was like, well, no shit. Yeah, no duh.
I thought he played well. I think he did some good things. Again, he's a young quarterback trying to learn how to play college football, and every new experience that he has, hopefully he learns from it, and I think he is. And the thing I like about him is I don't think the situations are too big for him, which I really like that about him. And we kind of knew that in recruiting that it wouldn't be too big for him. He just needs experience to keep playing and all those things. He keeps doing that, he's going to be a fine quarterback in our league.
It's insane,
tough.
bro.
I mean, it was a very athletic play. If he had pulled it off, it would have been crazy. Everybody would have been talking about, like, look at the football IQ on this kid. I mean, yeah, it was great.
I don't even think I've seen it. I've just heard so much about the not fourth, but on the 2-yard line draw, and it didn't work out well. Is what I hear.
I can tell you, so we've mentioned a couple times, Texas State fans, the alum or the student body, probably not the most locked in of student bodies. No. I came into class. It was a calculus class. I came into class. People knew that I was a sports guy, and there was people who came up to me and was like, "What the fuck happened? What was that?" And I was like, "I don't know." But we had to play on Twitter, and we played it back like 4 or 5 different times, and I was like, maybe the offensive line didn't get the right call. Maybe it was like supposed to be a power run, and they decided to, maybe there's a miscommunication. No miscommunication, just bad play calls.
That's a big timeout moment.
Yeah, I would say so.
Well, I don't mean to reopen some of these old wounds. You've talked a little bit about the future, like looking forward to September 28th. What have you been able to see from, GJ Kinney and his staff, and like, has it reignited some stuff and some of you and your friends, and like, what have you been seeing so far, basically?
Yeah, so initially you're going to see the dip in the high school. He's got more of an investment in Texas high school football players, and I think that was a big thing for him coming in. Was kind of getting those roots back, and I think that's one of the main, or a big component of why he was hired, is his how he's viewed in the Texas high school football world. So I think that's good to get back going right. But then again, you see him adding pieces from the portal, like the couple quarterbacks. He's got C.J. Rogers. He's got Malik Hornsby. He's got the new one, T.J. Finley. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he's got a lot of talent there. He can only play one, so I'm excited to see who he ends up going with. So I think he's doing a lot of the things right. Not that my opinion matters much to him, but I'm excited to watch him this fall and see where it goes.
Do you have a record
better
prediction?
Than anybody? You can play more than one quarterback.
I mean, yeah, ideally you can only really play one, but usually if another one has to go in, it's bad news, whether it's an injury or you're not playing up to par. So I'm going to stick with one guy to start with.
Me too, Brady. Me too. Jacob, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna ask Brady, like, do you have a record prediction for this year? How you think they're gonna do? I think me and
Um,
Zimmel are very like 6-6. You know, like I think we're trending in the
six
right
and six
direction.
would be pretty sweet. I
Yeah.
don't necessarily know the opponents of who we're playing,
You want me
but
to go? You want me to read through the schedule?
okay, we can go
Ooh,
one more.
yes. Let's get a game by game prediction for Brady. Here it is.
I got you. Okay, we're opening up at Baylor.
I don't think that will be a win.
That's tough. Yeah. Week 2, we're at UTSA.
I'll give us that. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to give us one of them.
Yeah. Well,
Australia.
it's
gonna
their
give
first
us
year. It's their first year
UTSA.
in the American, so I feel like they're not really. Their first
They
game
might be
UTSA.
overlooking.
Yeah, their first game too is against Houston, and that's Houston's first Big 12 game. As Big
Mhm.
12 members, they got to make a statement.
Yeah, I'll give us a W versus UTSA.
All right,
Knock him out of the top 25. Love to see it.
bet. And then we have our home opener against Jackson State.
I would say a
Primeless.
W there. Yeah, no prime. I would say a W.
And then Nevada comes to Bobcat Stadium next week.
W.
Then we got
Right.
Southern Miss week after that.
They're pretty good. Realistically, I'm gonna have to throw an L in there somewhere pretty soon. So, who's after that?
After that is
I can know.
ULL, Louisiana, Raging Cajuns.
I'll go a loss to Southern Miss and a W to ULL.
All right. That's at home too at ULL, so we would beat them.
I
Whatever
don't even think
Cajun
it
Stadium,
matters.
whatever that is. Yeah,
I kind of like the away games better.
sweet. Then we got ULM at Bobcat Stadium.
W.
Then the game you'll be at, Troy.
Sheesh. It's been a lot of W's so far.
We're
I'm gonna
looking
have
at
to
like I think
throw.
we're 4-3 right now.
I'm gonna give it a W because it'll make for a great weekend with the boys.
Well, they'll bring you in the locker room, give a great halftime speech.
No, I'm
Will
not
they
doing
even
that.
will they even recognize you at the game? Will the
No.
scoreboard operator even say
No.
like I think that's the former quarterback?
No, no one will, and that's the beauty of it.
Why would the scoreboard operator have a mic?
Nah, let's talk about the scoreboard operator versus App State.
Yeah.
Did y'all see that? It
No,
was
tell
like
us.
right
What
when
was-
we started losing pretty good. They just zoom in on me, and I'm just like, They knew what they were doing. I remember that.
That's an ESPN Plus production. Too.
they said, "Get that guy. He's
Like,
crying."
Brady. Did you
Yeah,
keep
they
the
knew what they
25 when
were
you were over there? Okay. The week after Troy, which is when we take a huge win against Troy,
Yep.
we'll get Georgia Southern.
Loss.
And then
I think
Coastal,
Loss.
and then Arkansas State.
W.
And then last home game of the season against South Alabama.
L. What did that end up being?
Zim?
You had like 7 wins.
I had 7.
I think you had like seven wins.
I
Yeah.
wish I had kept track of that, but I was too focused on reading.
You said win against UTSA, win against Jackson State. That's
Mhm.
2 wins. Win against
And-
Nevada. That's 3 wins. Win against Louisiana. That's 4 wins. ULM 5 wins. Troy 6 wins. Coastal was a loss. Arkansas State was a win. That's 7 wins. So you have 7 and 5, which would be against bowl eligible for the first time since like 2014.
That would be awesome.
I'll take it. I think 6 and 6 is a very solid. So you want one above. That's fine. We'll take that. I saw earlier this week 3.5 is what Vegas has us at right now.
Wow.
So if you are a fan of Brady or this podcast, hammer the over.
I'm gonna go do that.
I mean, that's so low. That's so disrespectful. Go make some
Yeah.
money in Vegas.
Yeah, the people who gamble always win. So I mean, I get
Well,
it.
the thing about sports gambling is it really a gamble? That's what I always tell my girlfriend's father. So
I would say it is a gamble.
I don't know. I feel like the NBA finals, I made $200 on that because I was like, this is easy dubs. Congratulations, Denver, to your first championship.
You're about to go on a real cold streak now that you put that in there.
I will say that I made a lot of money off Texas State because the bookies never knew how good we were / how awful the other opponent was. So they set these like over-unders for points at unreasonable numbers. And I was like, yeah, we're not. Both sides have to score 35. Yeah, that's not happening. We're good. We're okay.
Yeah. That's actually a lot of what the DMs were. It was like it'd be dudes not getting their bets or something, and then they'd slide in the DM request, and I'd be looking at it.
What platform are these guys using to place these bets on Texas State fringe games?
Probably not legal ones.
Nope.
That's funny.
I never owed any money to those Indonesian gangsters, but a couple times pretty close. The Boston College one really hurt.
Oh my God. I did lose about $150 on that game.
Wow. What was your bet?
I think
that we were going to win, Brady.
It was just to win.
Outright win?
Outright win. We were winning.
What was the payout going to be?
Or was it like 500? Yeah, 500 or something.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Man, sorry about that.
Now you understand why people are in your DMs?
Yeah, but I'm not telling people to do that. I get it though. It is entertaining.
It's not an exact science, you know.
Fun.
But yeah. I graduated with a, Bachelor of Science in journalism, so that's kind of a man of science.
Graduated with a degree in hard knocks. I'm trying to make my money off Texas State football, bro.
You were making your rent for a while, weren't you?
I did.
Some prop bets?
I made my money for a while on my rent money for a couple months on Texas State football.
Yeah, I made $600 last year just on college football, and then like another $500 on the NFL, just on like little $5 bets. I'm not betting my house anymore, Brady. You'll be glad to know.
That's good.
Not on Texas State games.
Not on Texas State games for sure. You can openly bet on like the UTSA Roadrunners now, though. And every time I would place any sort of money on Brady, like Prize Picks has the over under for yards or whatever, he would always blow it. I was like, I hate this guy.
No way there was Prize Picks back then, especially not in Texas.
Well, last year.
Oh, well, last year it'd be easy. My bar would be at 0.
Oh, Brady. Do you have any other good stories for us?
Yeah, I had a recent one that was pretty funny. So, I'm out here trying to look for like a career job. So I got a job at Lululemon for the time being. And I just did I finished up my training and I was sitting in the back and this girl was like, wait, did you play quarterback at Texas State? And in my head, I'm like, yeah, for sure. Ego got boosted a little. And turns out, like, after I said yes, there was like not another good word said. It was just like, oh my God. It was all jokes. Like, we were just joking around with it, but it was just all like, no wonder why we weren't very good and stuff like that. And I thought it was pretty funny.
So, needless to say, you did not use your employee discount with her.
She wasn't a manager or nothing. I think she actually goes there.
Jakob, home field is what you want when you are playing in a big game. You want home field advantage. And home field is also where you want to get your apparel. Now, granted, they don't have my favorite school, Texas State, but they have my dad's favorite school, Minnesota. And that is where I did all my shopping for him when he came to his birthday last week. I got all of his Golden Gopher gear from Home Field Apparel. It has you covered. They got a ton of different teams, and the quality is immaculate. Some of the best shirts. I got a shirt a couple years ago for TCU. It's gone through the washer and the dryer probably 1,000 times at this point. No fade, no rip, no tear. It's excellent quality. Home Field Apparel. It's where you should go to shop for all of your favorite college teams.
Use code SQUARE, get 15% off if it's your first time ever ordering anything on Home Field, and 10% off if it's not. So, shout out Home Field. And they just added Oregon. The Oregon Ducks home field team now. Soon to be the Bobcats. I don't know. I'm just saying.
We'll keep chipping away at it.
Yeah. Someone's got to.
You know what, man? Are we the only podcast that gives you any respect?
Probably so. At this point, probably so.
Jesus, dude. How the mighty have fallen.
Well, I think
Jesus.
I remember
I'm out here every week
freshman year, 2016, I remember because you were talking about like the Texas State effect, like not being able to like register basically athletes as like, anything really. Like you can see, I remember seeing Tyler Jones as starting quarterback in 2016. And I was like, oh my God, it's crazy. There's posters of this guy everywhere, like life size posters of Tyler Jones. And nobody would care. He would walk in Harris Dining Hall. Nobody would really say, not even really chirps or anything, which I think is worse because at least
He
you
was
got
good.
chirped, Brady.
He was good. So I don't think there was much to chirp about him.
Someone told me he was like an NFL prospect like the year before.
He was. He made one of the worst mistakes in the history of Texas State football is he came back for his senior year. Like, he had a 7th round grade, or I think it was like maybe a 5th round grade his junior year. And instead he was like, I'm going to come back. Jacob, we tried to get him on the podcast before, and I hope he's doing well now. Like in that in-between period between Withers and Spavital. And I was like, can you come on the podcast and talk? And he straight up was like, nope, not doing that. I was like, all right.
Well, now we're a little bit more official with our setup. We got
it wasn't
flag
it
riding
wasn't
with
the setup. Hey, it wasn't the setup. It was Texas State. He was like, I'm good. So maybe that was like 6 years ago now, or 5 years ago now. So maybe distance makes the heart grow fonder. That is good. So you said Lululemon. Are you back in San Marcos?
No, I'm in the Dallas area with my parents.
Oh, okay. And you got Texas State fans that recognize you up there. That's kind of cool, though.
I wouldn't say they're fans. I think it was just a coincidence, and then I would not claim them as fans.
Well, I think you see anybody at that level, like you got to have respect for it. It's like, I mean, he's the one doing it out there. Like for better or for worse, that's our guy.
Jacob, respect to football.
That's true.
You worked at the publication that said we should tar over the football field for more parking lots.
I did not say it. It was an opinion column that ran in the paper, and not while I was editor in chief too. I'll say that.
Can you believe that, Brady?
It's a beautiful stadium.
What'd you say?
I said the stadium's beautiful. That'd have been a shame.
Where does it compare to the other ones that you played in?
I mean, structure wise, it's pretty awesome. What do you? Oh my God! Did you get that off a spring game auction or something?
Hell yeah, brother!
Like the garage sale thing.
Yeah,
I rescued Lane Hatcher's jersey off of eBay.
Nice. Those are pretty sweet.
Nobody can say that you didn't have fans on the podcast, bud.
Nah, I appreciate you for having my back, Andrew. That's big.
Tell that Lululemon girl that it wasn't just you. There's plenty of blame to go around.
I'm sure that's the last thing she even wants to hear in her ear.
Yeah. Well, now that you've done a podcast with us, you can just direct her to us. You just send us that link. You're like, hey, listen to this, you'll get the whole scoop.
I'm telling you, man.
You're such a great culture fit at San Marcos, Brady, too, because I think you're so chill, and now I feel like you've reached nirvana, it feels like.
I don't know. I haven't always been a chill mindset. I feel like growing up I was pretty spastic. And if I get to know the right people, I'm not as chill. I'm more spastic, and just the more you know me, the more of my personality I feel like I show, and that's why I don't feel like I didn't do as well in media stuff. And
they never let you talk. They never let you talk to the media. That was the other thing. I don't think maybe Vic got to talk a little bit when we were there, Jacob, but for the most part, quarterbacks didn't talk.
I was trying to remember.
That was kind of weird. And then even when you did, you're getting these questions angled in a way that you're either defending yourself or defending people around you. It's just dude, I know your opinion already. You're just trying to get some words out of me to put on something.
So did you get to talk to Kev or any of us? Because I don't remember. Like I said, I'm pretty sure the only time that we talked was in between lectures, being like, "Hey, man."
Yeah, class was. I don't think so. Besides the media day with on picture day.
Yeah.
But I don't. Maybe a spring game. I talked to Kev a couple times, but it wasn't a one-on-one with Kev. It was more
It was a media scrum. Yeah.
So, I'm not a big fan of press conferences in general either. They gave me anxiety, and I'm on the other side of it. So I can only imagine all these other guys firing off questions, all trying to get different versions of the story that they're trying to, whether it's a spring game preview or a game day preview. It's and then get kind of fringe questions that are what was that?
Yeah. it's different. Like if you played well and you did really well, you're excited to go. Like, yeah, let's talk about it. But when you don't perform to the level you want to and you got to go talk about it, it just sucks.
Well, Brady, I hate to admit this, but I was one of those people who was angling for certain answers.
Oh,
Not
I
to
mean, that's your
you,
job.
but well, Jacob, this is a story that you've heard a billion times. I was very mean to Nigel Pearson, was a
I think you guys were
star.
mean to each other.
He was a
Basketball
star
player.
basketball player. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I made the mistake of wearing one of those shirts that they give out at the games to the press conference. And I asked him a question, and he said, "You're wearing our shirt, dog." And I was like,
Oh,
And then they edited music under it, Brady, and posted that on Twitter the next day.
dude, that's pretty funny.
I mean, he taught me a valuable lesson. Do
The
not
best
wear the
clapback
shirts
ever.
they hand off. But then he went over 22 in the Sun Belt tournament, and who got the last laugh?
Zimmo was cheering at that
Probably
game.
him still. Didn't he end up transferring somewhere pretty good?
He ended up going pro in Europe.
Pro?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which I mean,
Sweet.
like I could go pro in Europe too. Whatever.
Well,
Probably not in basketball.
they were also a team that got cheated right at the beginning of COVID too. Like they were super hot. They had a great game. It was like the last game I think that they played was that huge whiteout game at Strand.
Mhm.
They were trending upward as a program, and then COVID happened, and then they didn't do anything. So that's why
And then
Zimmo always says that we're the 2022 Sun Belt Conference champions.
2020 Sun Belt Conference champions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2020.
And then it turned out Danny Casper was a racist, and that was crazy. Yeah, and then it was a free fall from there. Now we're on our way back up.
Yeah. Were
Tough
they
time.
pretty good this year?
They went to
They
the
were hurt.
semifinals of the Sun Belt Conference tournament this year, but like they had like kind of a horrible season leading up to it. I think they entered the tournament as a 6 seed, and then they just like fought back through. Like credit to Mason Harrell in that senior class, so it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, but they have like expectations and stuff, right? They're good. Like, they're
Yeah,
not just
they
like
get rings every other year or something.
Yeah.
Regular
So I guess
season rings, Jacob. Regular season rings.
It's still a
Don't
ring.
anybody take different.
It's still a cool ring.
It's like the second marriage ring. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, congratulations, you're getting married again. But like the first one's the one that we want the Instagram pictures for. I want the Sun Belt tournament win that gets us to the NCAA tournament. The regular season win's cool, and the coaches will tell you it's an important thing. But like, I don't know. It would be like winning your winning your conference, but not winning your bowl game. Almost like, it's like, all right, cool. Great. And especially if you don't have a conference championship, like if it's just a round robin, okay, cool. This is a team that survived the longest. Then you go to the bowl game and get your ass kicked. You're like, all right, cool. It doesn't really mean anything now. I guess, but whatever.
Well, Brady, what was it like getting recruited to go to another Sun Belt school? Like, what was that like? Was it weird? Is it sticky? Icky?
I mean, no. I didn't really think about it like that. I didn't know what I wanted to do or where. I didn't know if I wanted to go FCS and try and just have a more solidified role going in, or trying to earn it again, or
You could have come to North Dakota, dude.
that's a little too far. I've gone far away from home, but that feels like another country.
Caucasia, brother. It's the mountains of Caucasus.
Is that where you're at right now?
That's where I'm at right now, yeah.
Did you go to Minnesota first, or am I tripping?
No, I've always been in North Dakota, but it's I live on the border. Fargo's on the border of Minnesota and North Dakota. So,
Okay.
He gets to cover
Do you
some
like-
Vikings games too.
mm,
Oh wow.
yeah. I'll tell you, not a lot of swagger at the quarterback position for that team.
Kirk Cousins.
Yep. Swaggerless, brother.
His swagger is no swagger, so I feel like that's still some at least. It's better that he just owns who he is, and that brings his own level of swag to it. Unless you're talking about the Kirk Cousins with the chains on and doing the
Kirk
dances.
Cousins, yeah.
Kirk
That's
Cousins.
weird. That was probably my favorite thing to watch. The whole documentary that I watched, that was him on Instagram Live. He's going like this. That was so geek.
Well, you spent some time doing some like quarterback analysis too. Can we have some quarterback insight into the quarterback room at Texas State? You mentioned a few of the guys that you like seeing, CJ and TJ,
Yeah.
Malik.
I mean, I really would, but I feel like I was a little too close to the situation to make like a true analysis without having bias. And um, yeah, I mean, I know some of those guys, and so I don't really want to get into that honestly, because
All good.
I know how I would feel
Yeah.
if roles were reversed. So I try to live by that.
It's fair. You think it's an upgrade
I would say so.
from you?
Yeah, I heard my buddies were talking about how big TJ Finley is and how they're shocked how big he is every time they see him. So he must be a mammoth.
Nobody ever says that about you, huh?
No, I'm quite opposite. Quite opposite.
He's
Not
listed
a
at
big.
6'7", 255.
Yeah, that's yeah.
You were 6 feet, I
Even if
think
you don't
200,
ever,
right? Your senior year or your last year with
yeah,
Texas?
probably not even 200. I'm probably like 196 to 198.
They put their thumb on the
So
scale a little bit.
yeah, I didn't really care. I liked being lighter because I felt faster and more elusive. But I always had to go to the weight gains, and they wanted me to be able to take some more licks and stuff. So, which was nice. You get the free extra meal, which is it's the only one that's not catered by the football team. It's actually catered by like I think it was like Grins or like Chick-fil-A or shout out to Grins though.
Shout out Grins.
That was one of my favorite ones. It was a big old chicken sandwich from Grins.
Is that your favorite spot to go in San Marcos? You can pick any bar or restaurant. Where would the place you would go?
I feel like our answer would be like a sneaky like veranda move. Is that even still there?
I think so. I don't know. I haven't been in
Veranda,
town
like that's like
that
the
way.
rooftop on top
Mhm.
of
Yep.
I don't know what it was, but that was kind of
Harper's.
always a go-to spot. Even when like we come home late from a flight, like a midday game, me and Vit would be talking about like, hey, you want to go to veranda or like
Oh,
just
trust
on
me. That was a spot that I remember having plenty of conversations with the people. Can you believe they lost by that much? Then I saw them out. It's like, what do you want them to do?
yeah.
Not go
What would
out?
you want me to do? Because if we were going by that rule, I'd have won out 3 times in my time there. Like, what
You
could
just
you
got really
honestly
good at
ask
Fortnite,
someone?
brother.
Yeah, there's only so many nights you can just stay home and play video games with your friends. Like, you gotta go be social, and
Somewhere there's
we
a guy
did.
there's gonna be that guy that tweets at us, watch film.
Yeah, there's definitely could have been some of that on, but man, you come back off a flight and you're sitting down and you theoretically just got whooped. And best thing you could do is, I guess, just go hang out with your buddies, kind of
And you know
release.
nobody's gonna come up and take pictures of you, so you're set, you know what I mean?
No, no one knows doing that
Yeah,
ever.
exactly. You're just like anonymity, dude. Like you're
Yeah,
set.
I'm just normal.
Hmm.
I'm just trying to have a good night with my buddies. So that was a nice part of it.
I think it was like so now that we, in hindsight, Jacob, there's plenty of times that you saw guys on the square. And
Hmm.
I remember I said hi to Brian London one time, and now I probably made his whole week because like probably wasn't getting recognized anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, it feels pretty good. He probably would have got recognized more because he looks the part. He's big, but I feel like I look like a normal dude. And if I tell them like I'm an athlete, they're like, "Oh, what position do you play in baseball?" I'm like, "I don't play baseball."
I would have guessed lacrosse.
Lacrosse. I mean, I wish I would have played. It seems fun, but I
It's
was
never too late, Brady. Never too late.
definitely more baseball than lacrosse.
Yeah, I was
Mm.
a square rat. I would see Brian all the time. I saw the entire baseball team out one night, and they just took me
Yeah,
under their wing, and we just partied all night. It was fun. But
yeah.
so,
We'd
like,
hang out with some baseball guys
there
sometimes.
is something in psychology too that says like if you go into something like way too prepared and not, you don't have like one night to just like kind of chill and hang out, whether it's going to the
Mhm.
square or not. It's just like that might not be good either. Like sometimes too much preparation is too much preparation.
Yeah, I don't know if you consider going to the square like a chill night, but
I guess it could be if you just go to one place. So, like tap room, just
yeah,
get a burger, and get out.
I wouldn't even call it a square then. I would say just going
Just going to
to
dinner.
get, yeah, just going to get some food that's located on the square.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Going to the square has a lot more meaning behind it, I feel like.
yeah, get your ass kicked.
I mean, I've seen the worst fights in my life on the square. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
It was really funny because I was sober and Jacob was not, and we saw a guy getting absolutely drugged through the streets, and it was like 15-on-1. And I turned to Jacob and I'm like, "Hey, should we do something?" And he goes, "Nope."
I was like, what are you gonna do,
Yeah,
Batman? You're gonna save this man? I don't think so, man.
call the authorities.
Yeah, call the police. Help him.
Pretty much.
That is a scary thing to see, though. Honestly,
We were
Mm.
on the other side of the street. We
kind
were
of
like,
shake you up for a second, and be like, "Man, he's getting."
I think sometimes too it kind of I don't want to say like the Bobcats were like the Grateful Dead for me, but I did go on tour with them, just going to different college football town to see them play. So I got to see them
Uh-huh.
at SMU and College Station. Went out both nights, both
Yeah.
places, and different vibes for sure. Like College Station, I felt like that sobered everybody up. It was like, hey, you don't want to act the way that you do in San Marcos over here. These guys all
Yeah.
have rings on their hand, and they will punch you in the face.
Yeah, they got those Aggie rings. Did you represent well?
I did, yeah. Actually, that's the same night Johnny Football was in town, and my friend like saw him like kind of sheepishly go into a bar and was like, "Go get him, get him!" And so I ran up, and his security guard like boxed me out. But then I ordered like a beer at the bar, and then like I was like 20 feet away from having a beer with Johnny Manziel.
Oh,
Pretty cool.
that's awesome. I'm mad at it, or not mad. I'm upset I never got to meet him.
he's
Yeah, I
not
mean I
dead.
didn't meet him either, but
What do you
Well,
mean?
you'd think because Spav and him are associated, and I mean, you hear about how you hear stories about him and stuff, and you're like, maybe he'll come up to the facility one day, just kind of kick it with the quarterbacks. I mean,
You
that's kind
think
of,
you honestly think that Johnny Manziel is gonna check in and be like, "Let's like talk football"? No,
yeah, I would think.
not a
Davis,
fucking chance.
Davis Webb did. I mean, he would talk about their conversation and saying that he's watching and stuff. So I was like, come on, bring him up here. Like, don't be scared.
well, you had a
Could
couple
you
games where
imagine?
people were calling you Brady Football, didn't they?
That was me.
That was you?
Yeah.
If I go on Twitter and search Brady football, it's just tweets of you talking about Brady week to week.
No, it's probably satire.
Satire.
I don't have a parody account. Yeah, no. Johnny Manziel in San Marcos would have been a problem. That would have been a problem.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was a problem in A&M.
Well, I'm saying even more of a problem
I
Yeah,
mean,
at
he definitely
A&M.
frequents the New Braunfels, San Marcos area because he's a Kerrville kid, so it's not that far
yeah.
away, you know?
He probably got like his first offer from Texas State. It was probably one of his like warm-up offers.
You want to bet? I don't think he ever got offered by Texas State. I think Texas State saw what he was doing in high school and was like, "We don't need that.
Let's
We're
get him on the
okay."
pod.
We'll be-
Johnny, thanks for joining us. That'd be crazy if I could add that in.
That's no, that yeah. I wish he wanted to play quarterback and like nobody would let him. That's another, shout out UT for having like a decades plus of NFL level quarterbacks that they were just like, we're good. We don't need that guy. RG3, Andrew Luck famously was like, I want to walk the campus. And they were like, no, fuck off.
Jameis Winston, right?
James Winston. Who else? There's another one that the reason they didn't recruit him was because they had Case McCoy. Who was that? It was somebody else, and they were like, "No, we got Case McCoy. We're okay." And I was like,
You're forgetting about the biggest one, Boomer Sooner guy.
"Oh, Baker Mayfield."
There you go. Remember, he was an Austin
Yeah.
Westlake guy, or he was
Yeah,
an Austin area.
Lake Travis.
There you go.
Lake Travis, yeah. Well, Nick Foles was Westlake, and they didn't offer that guy either. So, I don't know.
Jeez.
They've had
It's
some
tough.
crazy decisions. Well, so what quarterbacks are you watching? I don't want to talk about Texas State. You got some friends over there, but
Quarterbacks I'm watching like this upcoming year.
yeah, like that you're excited to see this year.
I'm excited to see my boy Ryan Berger at App. He's gonna be. I guess he redshirted last year, so this is his first year of eligibility, and he's very talented. I think he'll do really good, and I'm excited to watch that just because from a friends aspect. And then I'm excited to see Davis. Is it Davis Brin at Georgia Southern?
Mm.
I think he'll do well. He's always. I met him the same day I met Vitt at one of these camps, and we kicked it off real well. We haven't really spoke ever since, honestly. But I
How old is
remember we
he?
had. He's our age, me and Vitt's age. So I'm 24, but
I'm like, what the hell? This guy needs to get a job. It's a
Oh
grown
and
man.
man, how are you
then
younger than me, Brady? Jeez.
I would say the last one. I'm excited to watch Quinn Ewers too because I don't
Ooh.
know why, but I just like Texas. I think it's just the brand, and
The only
then
quarterback that Zimmel defends more than you is Quinn Ewers. So
yeah, I think he'll be
Well,
really good. He's in a tough spot, and I hope he proves
mhm.
people wrong.
we don't want to throw stones here, but you have to be insane to put Frank Harris over Quinn Ewers, right? If you were doing an all Texas team, yeah.
Yeah, that's
That was on Dave Campbell's magazine this past couple
I
weeks.
gotta assume that's Quinn Ewers must not be from Texas. That's the only
it's
thing. That's
South Lake.
I'm saying, like, I'm trying to give them like some sort of like excuse here. Like maybe he wasn't born in Texas or something, because that's the only excuse that I can come up with for him not to be like on that team.
Yeah, I
It
think
had
they're
Texas
mad
as the
about
number
the
one team in the Big
NIL.
12.
Yeah, he went to Ohio State, and they're kind of mad about that.
And he hit his bets this year for me. So personally, it works out. Go Quinn.
I would say one more dude I'm actually really excited to watch is Tanner Mordecai in Wisconsin. Wisconsin. That's another dude I kind of went around the camp circuits with, and I think he's had a really good career from Oklahoma to SMU, and he's got a new offensive coordinator in Phil Longo, and he's always done really well with quarterbacks like him, kind of like Sam Howell, and I think he's going to do really well at Wisconsin. I'm excited to watch.
This is like the media day you never got, you know?
I know. Awesome, man. I didn't have to worry about talking with coaches about what I
Getting
said.
dressed up.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind dressing up.
You were talking about the benefits of media day. I was like, dang, how many free suits did Brian London get?
How many did he go to? Like 3?
He went to like 3, yeah, I think. 4?
I think he went to 4.
He didn't go as a freshman.
I think it was a red shirt, wasn't he?
I don't think he
So
went to media day though as a redshirt freshman linebacker.
okay, so let's say 3. That's still a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a lot.
I think that they need to put freshmen on the podium more because
Well,
it's
the
just
Sun Belt
funny.
too is like a very like, ooh, we're gonna keep our quarterbacks a little guarded. I think from the West is like 2 quarterbacks going, and from the East it's like 2 or 3 too. So
Yeah, that's weird. I feel like if you have a returning quarterback, like I feel like he should go.
They should have brought you and Vit and just been like, we might make Vit a linebacker.
That'd have
Like,
been probably the best media day as far as like a probably fun standpoint. Me, Vitt, and the crew going out.
the crew, the coaching staff, more like it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We were all really close, like me and Vitt, and then Connor Anderson, James Sherman. So
James
This
Sherman's
is-
been around the program forever, man.
yeah,
this is the lineup from App State. It's the coach Sean Clark, Isaiah
Mhm.
Helms, offensive
Okay.
line, and Nick Ross.
nice. I know they'll bring some energy. Isaiah Holmes is a big, tough dude. So that's probably they're trying to send that message out to the conference. It's probably strategic.
Mm-hmm. I was there when Coastal was like getting good, like they were on that like kind of upswing, and the
Mhm.
offensive linemen all had brands that like branded their fucking legs with the Chanticleer logo, and one of the guys was like, "You want to see it?" And I was like, "Isn't it on your thigh?" And he goes, "We can go." I was like, "No, I'm good." Like,
That's the kind of activities you and your O lineman doing.
If only you
though.
had tweeted it back then, you might be covering the Sun Belt on a national level.
yeah, for fucking sexual harassment.
You're like, there's a major what do they call that? Not initiation, but
Hazing.
hazing allegations at a Coastal.
Do you guys ever do that, Brady? You guys have any hazing? Any car washes?
Are you talking about like the Northwestern stuff? I
Yeah.
haven't really read much about it, but I saw their coach got fired, which was
That's crazy.
it must have been something. But no, I wouldn't say we had any hazing.
Oh, it was something, buddy. It was something.
It wasn't. What was bad? I really didn't see
So
much
they
about.
had the dudes. They had the freshmen walk through a group of naked dudes and get.
And a great journalism school too.
Yeah, so great that
That's
they
who
got
like
fucking
broke
exposed.
it, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the student newspaper broke it.
Wow. Do you get like a write off for that? Like, do you get a check for that? Be like, oh,
I feel like you
No.
should. I had some big
No.
stories out of Texas State. I got no checks, so
You know what you get? You get a fuck you. You ruined the football program.
they're like, "Way to go, man!" Well, did
Good
they
job.
even do well this year? I don't think so.
No, no, no. They were not good. But it's still like, the pride of things. Like maybe we could do good. Maybe like Ohio State falls into a vat of toxic acid and
Their basketball
hey,
team was doing pretty well for a while.
yeah, that's the only program that hasn't been exposed recently.
yeah, it was a baseball team too, right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dang. What did he do?
Don't threaten you with a good time. Brady, I'll talk to you later, man. Jacob, thanks. We're good to go. Jacob, did you ever angle a question at Brady? Were you ever one of those journalists that was like, let me go try to get a question out of this athlete?
The thing about like press conferences, even like interviews, like I already know like what I'm gonna write before I walk in. Like I don't need the athlete to make the story, Like I have data, or I have a record, or I have, stats and things that I'm already writing about anyway. I just need them. And so like I really try in all my interviews, I use comedy as a defense mechanism for my anxiety and a lot of other things in my life. But that's kind of why I try to open up. I just try to keep things light. And, at the end of the day, we're all people. What am I going to do? Get mad at this, like, what was he at the time, 21-year-old kid throwing the football? It might not be his fault.
I think when you said to him that we were surprised how young he was, Brady's only 24, you were like, wait, I'm older than you? I think that's something that a lot of student athletes kind of go through, especially like the new alums. Like we are, 3 years out at this point. You still kind of feel like you are part of that like young fan base. And you're like, holy cow, I'm getting mad at a 20-year-old. Like that's insane.
I definitely asked harder questions when I was younger, though, because I was like, oh, I got to come with some heat. This presser, I never did that to any of the players. When it was Coach Withers, I was like, Coach, what the fuck is going on out here? I didn't say that directly, but, basically.
Have it all. What's going on over there?
Hey, you want to explain this crazy call on 3rd and long?
Versus now, GJ, we're like buddy with this guy.
I think we've kind of, I don't know. Doing this podcast, I think, also changes the way you ask questions because in this like long form sort of media, you're like, whoa, I don't know. Instead of a pocket passer, you become like a dual threat quarterback. A
little more. You pontificate a little bit more. Talk. Yeah. No, I get it. I think we want to make sure that we don't become propaganda. But anyway, that being said, thank you to Brady for coming on the podcast. It wasn't, the hardest interview to get. However, I would like to talk to him more as the season continues. He did mention that he has still friends on the Texas State team. I think the more he's removed from Texas State, the better of content he will give us. So expect to see him more in the next year and a half. Maybe not so much this year. Maybe we wait for, his buddy Seamus to graduate. Then it's completely done. The crew's gone, and he can give us unfiltered opinions on Texas State.
Well, at the end of the day, he's still a Bobcat, too. You always have a soft spot for your, alma mater.
I don't know. You're pretty tough on him.
Well, I read this difference between, I don't know. Maybe it is the same. I was the quarterback for the University Star. He was the quarterback for the football team. Maybe he does feel that way.
There it is.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
We ain't got no badges. We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
Better not come any closer.
Thanks for listening. New episodes out every Thursday. Follow the boys on Twitter. Eat 'em up. Eat 'em up.